められた。逃げられぬ。死ぬ。殺される。
Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally here, the highly anticipated anime adaptation of one of my favorite mangas, Solo Leveling. I am a huge fan of this manga, so much so that I have RMC as my background on my computer. I recommend this manga to anybody who hasn't read it yet, including all of my friends. I got one friend to read it, he said it was awesome as well. I'm sure he's gonna love the anime just as much as me. There's been a lot of hype surrounding the release of this anime. I am definitely a part of that, and I am super excited to watch what's going on. The manga has an amazing art style, and I can't wait to see how they transition that into an anime. Now, if I could just get an anime with Martial Peak and Tales of Demons and Gods, I'd be set. I know you're excited. I'm excited. Let's get right into it. 3 years ago. This many boats and a lot of explosions, I'm just gonna assume that this is Juu Island. That is one thing they always do in these types of mangas, and I should say now animes, is to establish the need for the awakened. They make it where any military attempts are completely worthless. Like, you can hit them with a nuke and it's a level 1 goblin and he just walks it off. So they gotta make it where hunters become extremely relevant, where they're the only people that can even do damage. These ants are absolutely fucking busted. They just walked right through their attacks. Oh, okay, this is brutal. Okay, they're going for brutality with this anime. I can get behind that. This is definitely not a very friendly world that they're in. People die all the time. For the first episode, I am hoping that we get to a specific scene, and it will be so good. Damn. Lightning. Feels me, I wish I had lightning. They've done so well with this character design as well. Lightning strike. Oh, that's so satisfying. He just ripped out its, like, outer... I don't even know what you would call that. Outer fang? And then just throws it right through him. God, that guy's so strong. Couldn't have said it better myself. Pure brute strength. Oh shit, we're already getting to see it? I was like half wanting to say that his power, he doesn't like how it changes him physically, so he doesn't usually want to use it. So we didn't get to see that power until much later, because he would just fight with just brute strength, because his body is very strong. Like without the transformation, he's really strong. But if he wants to take it up to that next level, he has to do his transformation, and he doesn't like that. It basically turns him into what looks like an animal. So I'm surprised we get to see that this early on, but totally okay with it. That guy up there on the bridge, he is OP. I believe they called him the perfect soldier. Yep, just incinerates fucking everything. Although that level of power seemed to only work on the reds. Dude, you know it's OP when even the goblin is just shrugging off your bullets. I like this imagery right here because I'm not entirely sure if he is the only E rank, but he definitely feels like the only E rank because he's just constantly the weakest out of everyone. That's another thing that I thought was interesting with this manga, is the concept that once you awaken to a certain level, you can't get stronger. You can get better, like you can get more experience with combat, you can get more in tune with your abilities, but the raw power inside of you that came from awakening, you don't get to get that any stronger. This was probably the first manga that I read that had to do with the gates and the hunters and awakening and getting powers and fighting these extra dimensional beings. That's what kind of got me started. I just love the genre. This looks like it's straight out of the manga. One thing that I think will be cool here is that since it's technically not a manga, I think it's called a manhwa because it's Korean. The art style is very good. So a lot of these scenes have a lot of details really depicting everybody. So to make it into an anime, you have quite the foundation built on how people and things should look. Then it's all about just getting them to move around, which I think they do very well here because, yep, Mr. Kim looks just like Mr. Kim. And he looks just like in the manga as well. Being a hunter in this world is, and I think pretty much in any manga that I've read that has this type of world, being a hunter, while extremely dangerous, is an incredibly lucrative job. Especially for the higher level hunters. Like, S ranks are like Iron Man rich. Like, they are rich as fuck. So, like, not so much in, like, terms of, like, the D and E ranks because they're risking their lives on lower level shit. It's like if you're playing like WoW and you turn to a level 5 guy and said, "Show me your inventory." It's not worth anything, even though they may have struggled to get it. But if you look at somebody who's max level and they'll be like, "Show me your inventory," and he has a bunch of rare shit, it's more rare, which means that it's worth more. So it's very lucrative profession for sure. We got our MC. They did really good at making him frail and shy and very unconfident. The weakest hunter. You do not want that moniker. In the manga, I don't know if they're going to do it here in the anime, but in the manga, we never see anybody weaker than him. I don't think we even hear of another E rank other than him. How do you think he's not going to overhear that? You're not even like whispering. You're just outright talking. I love how she almost takes like a motherly position with him. She's always looking out for him because he's always getting hurt. That's the dumbest shit you can do. That is talking about underestimating. And he blames himself. It's like they're being friendly, but it's all so backhanded that it's kind of sad. This is another problem with low-level hunters, and what could prevent them from making more money is that if you go on in like an A rank raid, you can get some valuable shit and then take that, sell it, and buy much better equipment, therefore making yourself safer to then go get even more valuable shit. So it's kind of like a snowballing effect. But when you're sitting down at the very bottom and you're barely even able to scrounge up scraps, and especially because in these types of things, if there's like a reward distribution, they go for how much you contributed to the raid on how much of a reward you would get. And obviously the guy who can barely handle like a monster or two, they're not going to give him anything. So he's stuck with this knife that has absolutely no power to it, which means that he is just pure bare bone running on the most limited of gear, which means that it's just even harder to succeed. And it's a rut that a lot of the low levels get themselves stuck in, and then they're kind of forced to stay down simply because of the gear. Although you gotta admire his commitment. This guy is awesome. He's probably one of the best like leads of an organization in the manga. That's an essence stone? Wow, okay, that right there, that's what I was thinking of. So he must have been holding a really high level essence stone. Oh, yep, there goes it. Oh, shit. Luckily, they haven't stated it, but she's a really good healer. So if you want anyone running in these raids with you, it is her. I don't think this was talked about in the manga at all. Just adding more to their importance. But I don't think that was at all mentioned in the manga, how the non-hunters want to use it as a fuel source and stuff like that. Most of the time it was just they were just gathering them to sell them for themselves to get better gear. But that makes sense why they'd be gathering them and why they would have such a demand. It's because they are trying to make them into a clean resource for fuel. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. He just gets a singular stone. And yeah, almost died to get that single stone. Oh my god, there's so much I want to say, but I don't want to spoil shit. Oh my god. There we go. We finally get a look at his motivations and why he stubbornly insists on risking his life in these dungeons all the time. It's a pretty good reason for me. Damn, that was slick with it. Also, you're lucky she jumped. She literally could have just stood there and let you crash into her, and you're the only people getting hurt. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, we introduce the strongest female hunter. That was cool, but you don't need to jump like that. Just jump normally. That's one thing you got to pay attention to. After you defeat the boss, you got 1 hour to get out. 1 hour. And it doesn't really say it, but you just get stuck. Joke's on you when I said a mother figure, she is looking for girlfriend material. That is honestly very good advice. Okay, this was one of the creepiest shit when I first read it. Oh my god, they're fucking huge. I feel like they upped the scale of those statues. And that guy's fucking massive. I got chills. Oh my god, I forgot chills. Truer words have never been said. Oh my god. It's real, bitches. Something about it being animated just makes shit so much more brutal. Yep, that's the snowball effect I was talking about. She wasn't imagining it. Oh my, oh, incinerated down the, oh. Dude, there's something just so much more terrifying about it being animated. I don't really know how I feel about the audio of him talking in his head. It's kind of off-putting. Don't tell me that's the end of it. No! God! I was wrong! They didn't get through it! Oh! I wanted them to get through that whole chamber scene, because it's just so good! Oh my god, that is evil! That is an evil spot to finish it! Oh my goodness! Okay, so, let's go back to it. It was great. Everything looked exactly how I was hoping it would look. They didn't change that. They did add a little bit of exposition in terms of the people wanting to use the crystals for power sources, which makes sense now that I think about it on why there would be such a demand. Because it's like, yeah, the hunters are selling them, but people have to want to buy them for you to be able to sell them. And it makes sense now why they are buying them for a renewable resource. So there's that. I feel like from the manga, they upscaled the size of the other statues to make the one sitting in the chair even bigger, because I'm pretty sure in the manga, that thing was like 4 times the size of the others. But, I mean, it just enhances how fucking terrifying they are when they're all just lined up and even bigger now. I'm not gonna say who, but we did get to see in there a couple of people that will become relevant later on. I'm so excited for episode 2 because this scene in the chamber is one of the best scenes in the entire manga, which sounds bad that one of the best is right at the beginning, but it's just so good that I cannot wait to see how they finish it. It was one of the few times where I've read a manga and I felt genuinely creeped out by the events that are unfolding, especially that moment where they're like, all these statues are moving, and then he's like, wait a second, stares at the big guy and his eyes move. And it's like, yes, that one is moving too. One of these quotes I think is such a good description of him, and he says it himself. I've stood on the precipice of death plenty of times before. This poor guy has been risking his life ever since he became an awakened to support his family. It's an amazing and honorable motive, but you're still... With him specifically, when it says that the risk outweighs the reward, that is definitely the case for him. Because, like, if you're like a B rank and you're going into like C or B rank missions, typically they're doing all right, they're handling themselves, where there's still a risk, but the reward is still close. But with him specifically, the risk is just skyrocketed down to the reward, just barely scraping by. One thing it did not mention, that I'm kind of surprised it didn't, is a way to compare awakened to normal people, because there are still normal people in this world, is that everyone laughs at him for being the weakest and like the undisputed weakest hunter, right? He says, I believe in the manga, he says a slight physical enhancement that makes him stronger than like any normal person. So like any normal person, regardless of like their muscle mass, he is stronger than them. It's just that compared to every other hunter, he's practically useless because he's so weak. There is a certain frame in the manga that when I saw, It's probably the creepiest frame of any manga I've read, and I can't wait to see them animate it, and everyone's gonna be so fucking creeped out. It's gonna be great. So, given the hype, I think they did a very good job. The only thing that I think is kind of weird is that we've only gone through 5 chapters of the manga in the first episode. So we got 12 episodes in. So, I mean, given the math, let's just say they do 5 chapters for every episode. That would take us to 60 chapters, and then the manga, the season 1, ends at chapter 110. So we'll see how they maybe jump back and forth. Some of the transitions back and forth were very different compared to the manga, which it works. It's giving exposition to the viewer, which makes sense, and I'm okay with it. It didn't feel all jumbled around and weird. I'm looking forward to episode 2. I hope you guys are as well. I hope to see you there as well, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys later. You guys are beasts.
So go back to the start.